Okay, here we go from the national headquarters of RT America in our nation's capital. Hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez. We are starting our newscast tonight with a remarkable piece of video that should serve, if nothing else, as a reminder that we live in a dangerous world filled with really unimaginable military technology. Watch this video. Look at this. This is an Su-27 Russian fighter jet. See it coming up right there? Look what he's doing. The fighter jet is confronting the F-15 as if to be saying, get out of here. The clip is about 40 seconds long in total, but the U.S. made F-15 in the background, right? You're going to see it in the background right there, is apparently getting too close to an unnamed aircraft. The Su-27 then approaches the American-made jet as if to shoo it away. Look how close they get to each other, traveling at almost supersonic speeds. As the two planes get extremely close, the Su-27 makes what is described as a breathtaking maneuver, forcing the F-15 to turn away, flying further from the plane and ultimately disappearing from sight. Boy, that's something, isn't it? That video is really emblematic, right, of the power of today's military technology, where one wrong move could stir a huge international incident at a time when both the United States and Russia seem to be rattling their sabers with increased ferocity, and of course each is accusing the other of being the aggressor. What's the story, the real story behind this video, and what's the real takeaway here? This is the news with Rick Sanchez, where we think it's moments like these that should give us pause and make us ask the right questions, because it is time to do news again. We want to begin tonight, though, with a follow-up to that video that we just showed, because in the last year, the number of incidents or engagements between NATO and Russian aircraft are up. They've increased. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, NATO Secretary General confirms that there is increased military activity in the region, especially, by the way, and this is interesting, around the Baltic Sea. What that means is that videos like the one that we just played for you, the one that we just started this newscast with, see, it's actually more common than you think. Some call them chases, some call them near misses. There were 5 that we showed you right there. Now, aside from the cool factor of seeing these incredible, almost Star Wars-like engagements, right, there is reason to be concerned. Joining us now is our analyst, John Jordan, who, aside from being a lawyer and a naval intelligence expert, John also happens to be a flight instructor with more than 9,000 hours of flight time. John, thank you so much for joining us as usual. Can you describe for us, I know that you and I have been talking throughout the day, or texting, I guess I should say, talking about these videos. Describe for our viewers, if you would, what we just witnessed there in that first video.
Well, first of all, from the point of view of the camera, it's an airplane flying a straight and level flight. The camera is not gyro-stabilized. It's not just somebody probably holding a camera. And you see the F-15 come alongside. The F-15 is clearly tracking and escorting the airplane bearing the camera. Now, unbeknownst to the F-15 pilot, the Su-27 comes up behind and to his right, roughly his 4 o'clock position, moving to his 3 o'clock position in aviation parlance. The Su-27 pilot then engages a fairly steep left bank. Out of more reflex than anything else, I think the F-15 pilot, who, by the way, was an American, there is no doubt that is a U.S. Air Force F-15. There are no other NATO members really flying the F-15. So what you see is that the F-15 break away in an effort to avoid what would otherwise been a mid-air collision.
It's amazing to watch this, and I can't help but wonder what's the real takeaway here, especially in light of what I just read from the Secretary General of NATO saying that there has indeed been increased military activity in the region of Eastern Europe. What's the takeaway here? What's your geopolitical take on this?
Well, you got to go back to 1945, Rick, and the aftermath of the Cold War, and that's what NATO really is. NATO was formed because at the time, in the years after the Second World War, the Soviet Union had a massive conventional military advantage in Western Europe, led by Stalin, and Western Europe was very concerned about this, and rightly so. So that was a mutual defense treaty, which the most important part of which is Article 5, an attack on one is an attack on all. Mm-hmm. Fast forward 45 years, the Soviet Union collapses and the Russian Federation begins. And NATO, for reasons that I can't even begin to imagine, thinks it's a good idea to expand eastward. I don't think it was ill intent. I think it's just bureaucratic inertia in the exuberance of the fall of the Warsaw Pact. And so now you have NATO members that were formerly either parts of the Russian Empire or parts of the Soviet Union that are NATO members. And Russia, given its history of being invaded twice in the 20th century, it just naturally doesn't care for this. Now, the European and American policymakers have to ask yourself, are the Baltic states really necessary for Western defense? Does the raison d'etre, does the reason for being for NATO continue to exist? And why expand it eastward? So I think these are the questions that we have to deal with now, because you have these types of incidents becoming ever more prevalent. In fact, a few years ago, we had a friend, somebody I actually know, an American pilot, who was forced down over China when his reconnaissance airplane was bumped by a Chinese fighter, causing a major international incident.
That sounds interesting.
So why are we doing this? Why is this happening?
Right.
I don't know.
I was just going to say, the way you describe it so artfully, it makes it sound like here we are almost consciously poking the bear, and the bear is not liking the fact that it's being poked, and that's why we get these kinds of incidents. Let me do something. Kevin, if you don't mind, in the booth, can you put that video up one more time? I was curious about how, as we watch this video one more time, John, one of the things that I noticed is that as soon as that S-24 gets into the path of the F-15, the F-15 seems to obey. Like, okay, you got me, you're right, I shouldn't have been here, I'm going to back off. Is that really what he's doing, and why did he respond so quickly?
Okay, first of all, no, that's not the case. It was just merely a pilot's instinctive reaction to an airplane coming into his peripheral vision and then reacting to avoid a collision. It was no further message than that. It was startle and reaction. Now, if airplanes are really going to get into a fight, if they're going to start shooting each other, they don't do it up close. Modern aerial combat is not like Top Gun. Everybody out there saw about Top Gun is all wrong. It doesn't happen that way. It happens in miles away, between 10 and 75 mile distances. The F-15 is built for that, and so is the Su-27. So it wasn't really a warning off or anything like that. If you see the F-15, it moves a little further away and continues to track the Russian aircraft.
I'll tell you, it's startling to watch that, though, especially considering at the speeds that they're going at. John Jordan, as usual, it's always a delight to have you on. Thank you, sir, for taking us through this with your knowledge.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.